Hey guys, Roxy Sims here, and I have another speed build for you today. Today I am building a French provincial mansion. This mansion is definitely going to be a bit fancy, but nothing too fancy, because when I looked up French provincial mansions up on Google, I saw some that were very French country, and then I saw a lot that were very opulent and fancy, and then I saw a lot that were kind of in between, and I wanted to kind of head for that in-between area. I go for a bit more fancy in the public areas of the house, the living room, the dining room, etc. And then I go a bit more like rustic French country in the more private areas of the home. Which is kind of just how they did things back in the day, and I just had a lot of fun kind of choosing which things to be a little more fancy on, which ways to make it just a hint of rusticness in there. It was really fun coming up with the design of this place. If you happen to follow me on Twitter or on Instagram, you might have already seen pictures of this house. I did share pictures of this place on there, and the reason being is that The Sims came out with their next Sims Sparked challenge, and this time it is for the golden years. And one of the challenges, if you're doing the build part of the challenge, you have to build a house that has a hobby room for someone who is in their golden years, aka elders. They released that challenge pretty much right when I was finished building this house, when I was finished recording for it, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, this would kind of work for that challenge. And so I came up with this idea. Since this is, a big fancy kind of place, I thought a cool thing for an elder to do was to be a vigilante. I thought that was a unique and interesting and kind of funny hobby that an elder could do. So yeah, I decided I was going to change this place and make it an aging vigilante's mansion. So for the challenge, I ended up adding a couple layers of basement to this build, which has turned into this secret layer for these vigilantes. And unfortunately, you won't get to see me doing the build process of those couple basement layers, because like I said, I was already finished making this video by the time that challenge came out. But I will share some pictures of the finished products, so you will still get to see that. I ended up turning those couple basement layers into a secret llama layer because the two vigilantes that I have living here, they're named Mrs. Llama and Rooster Man. I almost forgot his name. And so the whole vigilante basement, it has a secret passageway, so you kind of have to know where you're going to even get into it. And I have a llama-copter, so a helicopter, but kind of like the Batmobile, but it's a llama-copter. And I have all these electronics everywhere. It looks really cool. I'm really happy with it. And I think it was kind of an interesting, unique little, quote-unquote hobby room. I will have both versions of this house up on the gallery, so I already have the Aging Vigilante Mansion version up on the gallery. The only thing that's different about it is I did make it a little bit more fancy throughout the whole thing in the Aging Vigilante one. Because I thought of kind of like Bruce Wayne, his house is super fancy, so I wanted to up the fanciness for that one. And then, of course, you have the secret basement levels, but other than that, it's very, very similar. This one, like I was saying earlier, has the more French country kind of vibe going for it. If you like this mansion and you like the Aging Vigilante version of this mansion, if you wouldn't mind giving this a heart on the gallery, I would appreciate it so much, because giving it hearts is the way you kind of vote for the build on the challenge. So if you happen to do that, thank you so much. I appreciate you very, very much. In this version of the build, though, there's nothing funny going on in the basement. The only thing that's down there is a wine cellar, so this version, very, very normal. But I hope that you enjoy the Aging Vigilante one. I am making another build for the Golden Years Challenge, and that one I'm thinking about doing a kind of, how do you call it? I guess conspiracy theorist, alien hunter type of couple. So I'm excited to share that one whenever I'm finished as well. That build is going in Strangerville, of course, because what better place for a conspiracy theorist couple? And this build that I'm working on now is in Willow Creek. I love this lot in Willow Creek. I think it's a 50 by 50 lot in the kind of fancy, area of Willow Creek. I love this lot especially because of the lighting. It has really, really good lighting if you're in kind of late afternoon. Oh, I love it. The lighting is definitely something that is hard to deal with sometimes in The Sims. Sometimes it's really frustrating. You'll be building on a lot and it's just dark all the time so if you're trying to share pictures of the build, it doesn't always work out that good. Oh, but you will see at the end of this video, I have installed a reshade into my game. I have been wanting to install reshade into this forever, but I am really not that great I'm just not used to mods or even custom content, really. I am such a vanilla kind of player. The only custom content that I have in my game right now is the red shelf. That's it. Every once in a while, I will try out some things here and there, but I just typically just stick with the regular game. And so anything that's altering, I don't have any mods, by the way, not one. Although I am going to change that. I've decided I have to get the tool mod. If you don't know what that is, oh man, look it up. It is amazing. You can build outside of your lot. You can take things and turn them on their side or upside down or whatever way. It looks so amazing. I have to get it. So, but as of now, I don't have any mods, and so installing this reshade, I was really nervous about it. I didn't know how to do it, but I ended up watching this tutorial by Paul Pancake. If you don't know Paul Pancake, look him up, because he's pretty awesome, and he made this amazing tutorial on how to install reshade. It was just perfect and everything that I needed, because like I said, I'm just not good at this kind of stuff. So I watched this tutorial. It was a lot simpler than I was expecting. So thanks again, Paul Pancake. And I turn on the game and I'm like extremely, extremely excited. I turn on the reshade and it is just beautiful. The only problem was as soon as I started moving my mouse, it was just going crazy. It was spinning around like crazy. I had a really hard time getting any pictures out of it because I couldn't. Every time I moved my mouse just slightly, it would veer off to the left or something. And so at the end of this video, where you'll see the screenshots of this build, I only have a few of the screenshots done with the reshade, and then I couldn't get it to work enough to do the rest of the screenshots that way. But stupid me, the first thing I should have done was go to Paul Pancake's tutorial and read the pinned first comment. The very first comment, he says, "Hey guys, here's the way to fix the spinning mouse issue." So if I would have just looked at the very first comment like I should have done to begin with, because I don't know what I was thinking, I would have just had the solution immediately. All you have to do is just you have to change a setting on Origin. And that's it. Simple fix. So from now on, I will be able to do the pictures with reshade. I am having so much fun with this reshade as well. I'm not used to it yet, so I kind of just turn it on and then just stare at the screen and be like, wow, it's so pretty. I just really, really like it. I have been doing that when I'm working on a build to use the new stuff from the Star Wars pack. It's not going to be in Batuu or anything, but I'm making an industrial penthouse with a lot of the stuff that come in that pack. I'm really liking it, and I like how it looks with the reshade. I cannot wait to share that with you guys. I haven't tried out any of the gameplay with the new Star Wars pack, Journey to Batuu. I don't really plan on it, to be honest with you. I always say I'm more of a builder anyways, so the gameplay is less important to me personally. Don't get me wrong, I definitely want better gameplay in The Sims, and if it had better gameplay, maybe I would spend more time doing gameplay, you know what I mean? So I am looking forward to some packs that have a little more depth to them. I haven't heard good things about the gameplay with the Star Wars pack, and that's why I'm probably not going to try it out. At least I might try out some of it, you know, and if I do, I'll let you know what I think. But I haven't heard that many good things, which is such a shame. It's, you know, I want every pack to be just as good as it possibly can be. I, of course, like I said, am into the build buy stuff, and the build buy stuff is a bit outside of the norm. Like, this is not a lot of stuff that you could put in maybe like a suburban house, but I oftentimes like to build things that aren't suburban houses. So that's why I got so excited for the build buy with this pack. That's why I bought this pack. The industrial penthouse apartment that I'm making with it, it's going to be like really grungy but in a cool way, not like a gross way. I don't know how to explain it, but I can't wait to show you guys. I think like this build buy stuff would definitely work for anything steampunk too. I think a steampunk bar would be great. I'm also working on this build that is for the Nifty Knitting pack. So it's kind of like a young woman's home that she has renovated. It's like an old cottage, but she's put her cute little touches on it. She's turned a room into her knitting room, and I'm thinking maybe she runs an Etsy, well, not Etsy, what do they call it, Plopsy, a Plopsy shop, and sells all the things she makes on there. So I have lots of things. So I'm making lots and lots of things. I will try and hurry up and get to share them with you as fast as possible. That does bring me to, I want to apologize for not uploading videos as often as I would like. Of course, you know, school has started for my little one and it's online, and that just, you know, that makes it so much harder. I can build lots of stuff, and that's why I've got so many things that I'm working on, but doing the voiceover, that is the hardest part, because I have to have, you know, a while of just no noises, no talking, you know, so, because I don't live in that big of a house. My whole upstairs of my house is like 1,100 square feet, so if someone is talking or watching a loud TV or something in the other room, you can definitely hear it. So I kind of have to pause all life to do voiceovers, so I apologize that it's not more frequent. I have lots of things going though. I'm working as fast as possible. Let's talk a little bit more about this build though, shall we? I am working on the wine cellar right now. I'm really excited about this wine cellar. It's something that's like uber fancy, and who doesn't want a wine cellar? I don't even drink that much wine. I mean, barely at all, to be honest with you. I probably drink 2 bottles of wine a year. So I definitely don't need a wine cellar. It just sounds really cool. I figured this wine cellar, I figured it could have been maybe an old like food storage cellar way back in the day, but since the invention of, you know, of a fridge came along, they don't really need to use it for much food now, so they've converted it into a wine cellar instead. Because this house is pretty old-fashioned. I don't have a computer in it or a television in it or anything like that. I just felt it kind of like messed with the vibe too much. I wanted it to feel like a very old house, but I am kind of meaning for it to be a modern times house, so that it was just built a long time ago, but the people have, you know, it's been passed down from generation to generation, and that these are just kind of old-fashioned people. I don't know many modern homes that don't have, you know, some sort of technology in it, you know, a television or a computer. But, you know, I figured maybe the Sims could just own laptops and have the laptops in their inventory or something. You know, I wanted this house to feel very much like, you know, like a romantic time from long ago. You know, I just wanted that vibe for this place. Although they have updated the kitchen of the place. I feel like even if you want a very old-fashioned house, you gotta update the kitchen some. So they do have the updated appliances, and they do have a washer and dryer. So it definitely has a modern amenities, just not every modern amenity. This has turned into a very long video. I mean, it is a mansion, so I guess that is to be expected, but I think it turned out to be like 30 minutes altogether. That's super long, and I tried cutting out everything that I could. I do normally cut out almost all the bathrooms. There's 5 bathrooms in this place, and I didn't show, I think, building of 4 of them. I only show the master bathroom, because that's the only one I think that's, very interesting. I think the other bathrooms are very repetitive, not that interesting, so I just immediately cut those out to, save some time. But I was wondering, I wanted to ask you guys what you thought about if there's a house that I'm building that has a lot of bedrooms. How do you feel about me cutting out any of the bedroom building? I would definitely not cut out the master bedroom. Of course, I'll always show that. Or if there's anything interesting going on in any of the bedrooms, of course I would show that. But if there's just like an excessive amount of bedrooms, do you want me to show all the building of the bedrooms? I never know, what you guys want, so definitely let me know. And if I happen to be building anything huge, then I can use that, to maybe shorten the video. If you don't mind, just let me know down in the comments below. Oh, guys, seeing that red shelf on the screen actually reminded me of something. So, if you didn't know, if you wanted to build something for the Golden Age Sims Sparked Challenge, you can't use the tool mod, and you cannot use the red shelf if you're building anything. And you can't use custom poses if you're doing the Create a Sim portion of the challenge. So that's one of the things that's different. So in this version, I go ahead and I use the red shelf, but in the version with the Aging Vigilante Mansion version, the version that's being entered into the contest, I don't use any of the red shelf. I had to take down all the stuff that I used with the red shelf and just use the 9 and the 0 keys, because that's how you raise and lower objects whenever you don't have the red shelf. I just wanted to pass that along because I've been seeing lots of builds and lots of casts being uploaded into the challenge that are amazing, like super, super amazing, but that they use the red shelf for the tool or custom poses, and then it automatically gets disqualified. And that's just a shame, that they put all this work and all this effort into making something so beautiful, and then it doesn't even get to get counted for the vote. So I just I just wanted to pass it along, to people I just want everyone to know so that they don't get their buildings or their Sims disqualified, because, like I said, that is just such a shame. Anyways, back to this build. I'm really loving this kitchen. This is where I went definitely a lot more French country vibe to it. I have the stone and the stucco and the checkered curtains, and everything's blue and white. I use blue and white a lot throughout the entire build because blue and white, it just seems so French to me. I think it's like extra French to have those two colors together, and definitely French country. And I use like this flooring here, which I would think of as like a limestone flooring that seems to be used in lots of these old French manors and chateaus and houses, and it's so pretty in all those pictures that I looked at when I was researching this style of build. I knew I had to use it in this build. I quite unfortunately have never been able to go to France before. I would love to go there. It's on my list. It's like number 1 or 2 of the places that I really want to visit. I think it's just amazing there. So unfortunately, since I've never been there, I had to just fully base this on what the internet has told me. So I just looked up this style of build, looked through tons and tons of pictures, because I wanted it to be as accurate as I could get it. Of course it's not going to be 100% accurate just because I've never been there before. But, and also on the internet, something that's really hard to know is that is whether you're looking at maybe an American home that's styled like a French home, or if you're looking at an actual French home. You know, they don't always tell you that, so it's hard to know. So just, bear with me, cut me some slack if it's not like exactly accurate on French. I did as best I could, and I really did do a lot of research into it, so I hope it's done well. I always get just so super nervous whenever I'm basing a build on a place that I've never been. I start questioning everything. I'm like, is this what a house looks like? Is this the color that they use? I get so nervous. So, I hope that I've done okay. And hopefully one day I can come to France and see how accurate that I actually was, see for myself. When I sat down and really started thinking about how I should make this house, what I should style it after, all of that kind of stuff, I thought, one particular thing that makes me think of France, and it was lavender. So, that's just, of course, just off the top of my head. I did make sure, and I looked, and yes, France is the second biggest provider of lavender. So I'm like, so I sprinkled lavender kind of all throughout the build. And in the backyard, I had a lot of fun. I put kind of like a little lavender field, not a big field because honestly this house takes up most of the lot. So I don't have a huge space for it, but I definitely wanted a space so that I could have them growing some lavender. And I also put in some hanging herbs and things in the kitchen. A lot of those hanging herbs actually looks like lavender to me, so that is definitely what I was going for. And ever since building this build, I have been dying for some lavender lemon cookies or maybe a honey and lavender latte. I've just been craving lavender. And speaking of lattes, guys, it is almost pumpkin spice latte season. Or if you're normal, you can just call it autumn. I'm so happy. Fall is the best season. It's my favorite. It is so nice to start feeling some coolness in the air. This gets me very excited. If there's any fall related builds that you want me to do, please put them in the comments down below because I am very excited to build anything related to autumn. As you can see, I've started to decorate the office of this build. I wanted it to feel, pretty regal, and I thought the sim could have been in the military, so we have a lot of the military stuff, like a military style picture, like a painting above the fireplace, the military medals and things like that. I just wanted to, make it a little regal feeling in there. And as you might have noticed, I have a fireplace in like every room in the house, pretty much. Not the bathrooms, but pretty much every other room in the house. I wanted to put a fireplace. I also put radiators throughout the house, because I figured when this house was originally built, radiators were not a thing yet, and then when they came out, they added those as well as like a secondary way to heat them up. Because heating your entire house with just fireplaces, oh man, that has got to be so much work. So I would assume they would update that as the technology came out. Oh, guys, I just thought of something. I forgot to mention it while I was working on the kitchen. So I wanted to mention it now. So if you remember, downstairs in the kitchen, I put the stove in kind of like a little enclosed area with an arch, so that you're like looking into the stove area. I don't know if I'm explaining that correctly, but hopefully you remember what that looks like. Well, whenever I started to do the testing of this place, I noticed that didn't work. Like the sim didn't want to use the stove. And that is so weird because I have done that before. I did that in a mansion that I made for Brindleton Bay, and I did that pretty much like when Cats and Dogs came out, and it worked. The sim used the stove fine, but whenever I did it now, it didn't work. So I don't exactly know what changed and when that stopped being able to work, but I'm assuming some kind of patch came out and it stopped them from being able to use that. So if you want yeah, I couldn't figure out a way to make the sim use it. So unfortunately that doesn't work. I think I'll just go ahead and upload it this way, but I'll put a little disclaimer in the gallery section, just so you know that I cannot get the stove part to work. It's quite unfortunate. I was thinking about maybe using that archway. I can't remember what pack it came in. But it's an archway, and it's like a fake archway, and it's not an actual door to go through. So I'm hoping that maybe I can use that as a solution. At this point, I don't know if it works or not. But before I upload this, I think I will try that out. So fingers crossed, I hope that works. I've started working on the kids' bedrooms now. We have like a girl's bedroom with 2 beds, and then we have a boy's bedroom with 2 beds and some toys and things. This is one of the areas where I kind of changed it up for the aging vigilante version of this build. For that one, since they're aging, I figured they wouldn't have any, small children regularly in the house. So in these guest bedrooms, I just did them more as just guest bedrooms, not necessarily kids' bedrooms. And like I said earlier, I fancied them up for that other version. But in this version, I figured it'd be more like a family was living here. So I definitely kept the kids' bedrooms in this. Also, in the bedroom that I was just working on, the one that has a lot of art stuff in it, I thought that could be maybe an older child's bedroom, maybe like an older teenager's bedroom. And then in the last bedroom that I work in, I figured that one could maybe be like a grandparent. So one of the owners of this house, it's one of their parents then living with them. And in these kids' bedrooms, I wanted to stick with that old-fashioned kind of theme. So even in the toys that I pick out for these bedrooms, I wanted to stick with toys that would have been around for a while. So like little wooden cars and trains and planes, stuffed animals, any kind of toy that's been around for just a really long time, just sticking with that old theme. Pretty soon, we will be moving on to decorating the exterior of this house. So I did a lot of the decoration of the actual house, but not a lot of the yard yet. I really liked doing like a super, super manicured lawn. It's not just grass, that's for sure. It's kind of full. The whole thing is full. I wanted every part of it to kind of have a purpose. I have a little eating area out there, a pool with couple fountains, like I was talking about earlier, have a little place to grow the lavender, and then in the front of the house, it's more of like the cool garden area, not garden as in like growing fruits and vegetables, but like a fancy hedges kind of garden. So, have you guys used the new window update yet? So if you didn't know about it, the window update is that they have completely changed the way windows work. Normally, you could only put 1 window per tile. Now, there is no limit to how many windows you can place, because normally if you would place like 2 windows in a tile, it would completely mess up everything, because it would kind of black out the window that you were encroaching upon. Now, windows work. You can stack window on top of window on top of window. It's amazing. I can't wait to be able to use it, because I wasn't able to use it in this one, because it would have looked weird in this one, in this particular build. But I think that update will be extremely useful, especially when you're building a modern building. It's gonna be so nice. Looking at the screen right now, it has reminded me something that I want to request for The Sims 5. Okay, so in the driveway of this house, it has that kind of chevron style herringbone brick. But the herringbone red brick floor paint that we have now doesn't quite match the one that they put in this world. Isn't that the most irritating thing? They always do that. They'll use their own kind of terrain paint, and then they don't give us a match. So, oh my goodness, that If they do that in The Sims 5, oh man, you're gonna hear it from me. I'll never stop complaining, because that is one of my biggest pet peeves for The Sims, for the building in Sims 4. I think we can all agree, right? I mean, they just need to give us matching tones and black and white versions of every item. I think we can all agree on that. I should just start writing down like an entire list of all the things that we really need to have in The Sims 5. I mean, I definitely think it'll be years before we get The Sims 5, but I'm already thinking about what we're gonna have in that version. I'm curious, if you could like request three things of that we need in The Sims 5, what would those three things be? I'm thinking for me, oh gosh, I don't even know. I'd have to think about it. Give me a second. Okay, I got it. Number 1, more skin tones and hair so that every person can accurately make themselves. Number 2, a color wheel or at least more color options. And number 3, deeper and more meaningful gameplay. Those are my top 3 things I need for The Sims 5. Let me know what your top 3 things are down in the comments below. I would love to read them. I know narrowing it down to only 3, that's gonna be a really difficult thing, because I know myself, I could talk at least 3 hours on that particular subject. Also, I really hope on the next Sims they don't release it with anything missing. Because you know on Sims 4 how they released it, it had no pools, it had no toddlers. There was just a lot of like really big stuff missing. So I hope this next version, everything is there when we get it. Well guys, we are pretty much done with this video. I'll just be adding a little bit of ivy to the outside of this house, and that's about it. And guys, I just want to thank you so much for watching. It means the world to me. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I hope to talk to you all again very soon. Bye everybody!